So Lord Archduke the Third, the Fourth.
Yep.
You have a lot of good stories.
Do I?
Yeah. But I think my favorite story of yours is how you actually invented the light bulb, the radio, the table, and the concept of central heating.
That is a good story.
Those 4 things.
Well, like any good invention story, it started with a quest for treasure.
Sure.
I was going down to Argentina. I had heard there was a gold mine there that had been abandoned many, many centuries ago by a civilization that had also been abandoned by another civilization. There was just kind of a series of abandonments happening. And the result was that they left a lot of money, as you do when you abandon things. You know, you leave, you just leave all your stuff. And so I decided to venture down there. And the venturing wasn't that interesting, I'll be honest. So I'm just going to skip right ahead to the gold mine. I find that most quest stories are best if you just skip past the quest and get right to the point where you found the thing and the story is over. So I found this gold mine. It was full of gold. It was great. It was exactly what you'd think a gold mine full of gold would look like. Like, picture that, and it's similar. But here's the thing. It was super dark in there. They had not abandoned torches. They had not, left a map. They were really kind of selfish, I think, in how they had abandoned things. If I'm on, I don't want to get judgy about an abandoned civilization, but. So I had this very dark mine, and so I needed something to see with. And so what I did is I set about building a surface that I could draw a map on and feel my way, and then come back and draw what I had felt, and then I would be able to feel my way through the mine. So that...
But I'm curious, because I remember you telling me a story in which you lost both your hands fighting pirates.
Well, yeah. I can still invent a table.
But how could you feel?
Oh, well, that's easy. I use my nose. How do you feel things? Obviously, when you're going into a dark, cramped space with a lot of sharp corners and all sorts of who knows what, it's important to just go face forward.
Face.
Yeah. You want to get through it quickly, so you just kind of jog it.
Run right in there.
So
it's exploring 101, sir.
I mean, I noticed that your nose seemed awfully pretty for an explorer. I didn't. Again, I don't want to judge.
I'm self-taught.
So yeah, getting rid of the darkness, that's how I invented a table, obviously.
I wasn't expecting that.
Well, expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
But Lord.
Yes?
I was...
Yes, Marshal Inspector, whatever the rest of it is.
That's all right. I was under the impression that all abandoned gold mines were filled to the brim with human hair. Why didn't you just light the hair? For light.
I should like an answer to this question myself.
Well, if you remember, where we last left me was running through a dark mine face first. And if you're doing that, you're going to want padding, right? So that human hair is going to come in handy. Sorry. I don't want to get, offensive towards myself, but...
That was a little ableist of you, sir.
Here's another thing. I've forgotten the fourth thing I invented. So what was the fourth?
Central heating.
Central heating, great. It was really cold in that mine. You know how mines are cold?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Which you wouldn't think because they were so filled with the insulation of human hair, but yeah, there it is.
Isn't it true that you always wear fire pants?
Baroness, I'm going to need a brief explanation on what fire pants are.
They are pants that are filled with fire. Like, fire is in your pants, and so it keeps you warm because your pants are literally just full of fire.
Right, that
I have
keeps
often said that about him.
Right. That keeps your legs warm. There's more to me than legs, not that you'd think that's hearing from her.
Yes, there is.
So I was very cold, and I was looking through this abandoned gold mine, and I was thinking, if only there was a way to warm up more than just my legs. If only there was, and I started to just kind of brainstorm. I'm like, fire pants, but for like rooms, right? Like, think about it. And so that's when I had a few simple inventing materials in a lab and several lab assistants and, materials from all sorts of times in history. Listen, I was on a quest. You bring these things.
And a bunch of fire.
A bunch of fire. Well, you have to, yeah.
Yeah, just a bunch
You have
of
to
fire.
just keep refilling the fire
Fire.
pants. So that's when I made a box. And the box had all sorts of metal. It had wires, whatever those are. I don't know. I just threw a bunch of stuff into a box. And I thought, maybe this will warm up the space. But it turned out it just started talking to me. Like, just out of nowhere. Like, didn't even ask permission. Just started saying words to me.
How insolent.
Exactly. Who did this box think it was? So
I would throw such a thing directly into a furnace of some sort.
Well, I did throw it. I threw it right into the human hair. There was some sort of spark. Human hair catches fire. Turns out that did light things up quite well. I should have thought of that. But it also warmed things up, and that's how I invented central heating. And the transistor radiator.
It was a lovely story, don't get me wrong, but I'm still waiting to hear about the part about the light bulb.
As we all are. I can't wait to hear about that part, just from myself. So now I had a mine. It was warm. I could see in it. I had a table, right? So I had everything you need. So I started looking around this mine, and it turned out I was wrong about what kind of mine it was. It was not a gold mine at all. It was a diamond mine. Diamonds as big as a baby's kneecap. You wouldn't believe them. Like, standard measurement for a diamond. We all know.
But sir, if it's a diamond mine, why was there all that human hair in there? Only abandoned gold mines have human hair.
Right, that makes sense. Well, here's the thing. I mean, I had talked about that abandoned civilization, how rude they were about not leaving map, not leaving, lights. Turns out what they did leave is all of their hair just kind of everywhere. It wasn't just in the mine. It was everywhere. Like, a good 30-mile radius, just human hair. Like, trees covered in human hair. I mean, listen, it was good for the fire pants, because I could just kind of stuff it in there, keep it going. It was gross, though. It was gross. But yeah, I had this diamond mine, and now I had assumed, because of the human hair, obviously, that it was a gold mine. I'd actually been going through the entire countryside just assuming everything was a gold mine, because there was so much human hair. There was a lot of funny misunderstanding. I'd see a tree covered in human hair. I'd be like, oh my God, a gold mine, I'm rich. Yeah. I'd start trying to mine the tree. Turns out that's just called cutting it down. I'd have wood.
Now, isn't it true that in the process of cutting down one of those trees, that was how you lost your foot?
What do you have, all of you, against my limbs? I'll take it. Come on.
And your head.
Right. Of course. So I was mining this tree. And then I mined it right until it was falling. And it was falling, you won't believe this, right towards my foot. So of course I moved my foot and it fell, it was fine. My foot was fine. But I was so startled that I started running. And I got my foot caught into a sort of crack in the ground, which was also fine. I just did like a little stumble. My foot was still perfectly fine. But the sound I made when I tripped, the kind of, you know, when you're running from a tree and you trip, that sound. It alerted the wolves. And they took my foot. And when you've already lost your hands, and then you accidentally gold mine a tree into falling over and lose your feet to a foot. I'm fine, I still have one. A foot to wolves. You're gonna lose your head a little bit, metaphorically speaking.
If microphones had been invented yet, I believe you would have just dropped yours, sir.
The invention of the microphone is a different story. That one. Some baroness had just said something to me. I responded with something very funny. I needed something to drop. So I set to work in my lab. I made a microphone. I found that it was several months later. The invention of the microphone took a while. She was quite a bit older. She had forgotten me. She had forgotten the entire conversation. She didn't know I had to like introduce myself again, be like, remember that time you said that thing? And I didn't have any of that. Anyway, and then I dropped the mic.
All right, yeah.
I don't know. What do you want? That was the story. I can only tell it how it happened.
It's a great
Shame
story.
it did not bear any more relation to the tale of your invention of the light bulb, which we are still waiting.
Well, yeah, I mean, it actually directly relates for this reason. That it was, in fact, I felt like the Baroness wasn't properly impressed just by the dropping of the mic. Because mics hadn't been invented, the whole dropping of them really didn't
I was like, what?
Yeah, it didn't have a connotation. It was just like, here's a metal tube. And it wasn't impressive, and so I decided I needed to go become incredibly wealthy from this abandoned gold mine so I could come back and be like, I'm very rich. Also, here's another mic I'm going to drop. I had explained the whole mic drop concept at that point. I feel like I'm getting away from the main thing, which is the invention of the light bulb. Now, I had this diamond mine, right? And this relates directly in a very logical way to an invention of the light bulb, in a way that will have me wrapping up quite soon. You know what diamonds look like?
Baby's knees.
Yeah.
Exactly like baby's knees. That got me, it got me thinking about having a family, about settling down, about having a home of my own, made of diamonds, because I had just found an entire mine of diamonds. And so I figured, listen, if I'm going to have a home, I'm going to need something to light that home. Fire is so dangerous around babies, it turns out.
Yeah.
I mean, there was listen, I don't want to get too deep into it.
Lady Stinkington and I have lost 12 children to fire, so we
Yeah.
understand completely.
You can't light up your home by just piling human hair and lighting it on fire.
It's like giving a kite to a horse.
It really is. So dangerous.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I invented light bulbs to light my home, the end.
Quite a collection of rings you have there, sir.
Yeah, go ahead with your story. I might have some questions. Oh, right. I should ask about that story. You know, I was thinking about which of the many stories you've told me I want you to repeat right now, but I think my favorite one is the story of how you convinced the King of England to declare war on the moon and then managed to make it so he lost that war.
That is a good story.
It's a fascinating story.
That's a good one.